Hello, everyone. This is Whitney Well from Star Hearth Astrology, and today we're talking about the Cancer full moon. The Cancer full moon happens this afternoon, January 17th. And this full moon, I'm picturing just like a bowl. And my silence reflects how much this bowl is trying to hold, and how a lot of it can't be broken down or parceled into words or spreadsheets or all the different ways that we want to map things out, because inside of this bowl, our entire experience is contained. And in the sign of Cancer, we unite time. Cancer is the truth of cyclical time, which is really the truth that things are always being created and things are always passing away from us. And in that truth is hope and love and tremendous grief of what we lose. And in that truth is the bravery of loving wholeheartedly the things that we know we will lose, the people and the loves that we know we will lose. Because it is in that kind of heartfelt participation with the mortal world that we lose ourselves and become part of the whole. Or as E. Cummings put it, all lose, whole find. There is so much going on right now. I'm trying to, in these videos, I try to speak to every level of it, but I think, right, we've lived in this place of uncertainty for a long time, and we begin this year in this place of uncertainty, having both Venus and Mercury retrograde. Uranus will go direct on Tuesday, tomorrow, and that in the past, for the past few years, has been the point where all of the planets are moving in direct motion. So Uranus has, for the past couple of years, been the last one, but this year it turns direct in the middle of Venus retrograde. Venus will be retrograde until January 29th, and Mercury retrograde, which will be retrograde until February 3rd. So we're deep in the questioning period of Venus's retrograde, renewing our sense of connection, what we value, what we want to spend our time on, what pulls at our hearts, and how we respond to it. And Mercury, our automatic thinking patterns and habits and the ways that we communicate. Anything that we've overlooked is ripe for us to go back to. And so returning to conversations that maybe you skipped over, or doing tasks that you've been putting off. It's a powerful time. And this full moon brings in the felt sense, the emotionality, the connective quality of this time. The moon is in her own sign in Cancer. And Cancer, right, it's this oceanic ebbing and flowing with the tide, with the cycles of the moon, with the natural swelling of the biological energy and earth, right? And when I say that, I mean the growth of the biological world, and then the darkness of the moon, which signals the release of the biological world, and how we are always in the middle of some growth and birth cycle. We are always coming into form, moving through form, moving out of form, and often, right, different points, different parts of our lives will be in different places at different times. I think of full moons like mirrors, right? I think of them like the pivot points of when we can't possibly try any harder. And we come into, right, we've pushed all of our energy into something, and we can no longer move in that direction anymore because of exhaustion, because of some external force. And right, the full moons are the pivot point between the waxing of the moon and the waning of the moon, right? So something critical happens and we change directions, we come back to ourselves, right? We put something out into the world and we get the maximum reflection of it. We get the maximum reflection of the moon, of the world around us, of our connections, reflecting the sun, the center, the source. And I don't think that it's an active or conscious choice when we pivot during full moons. I think it comes deep within, from within the biological connective truth of who we are, that we recede. The key feature of this full moon is that the sun has just completed a conjunction with Pluto. And so we may be in a little bit of an existential crisis. Right? When the center of us conjoins Pluto, we feel our smallness, our greatness, our insignificance, our mortality, all of those things at once, right? We're shaken by something that is larger than life. This part of us that is supposed to be the most sustaining, most secure part, supposed to, because often for many of us, the sun is not that. But in the organization of astrology, that is the role that it holds. It gets shaken. And the moon and our connections and where we go for mothering in the world in its fullness is reflecting that shaken quality. And I don't think that there is anything to do besides really to stay present with how much your bowl can contain, to stay present with the knowledge of and the feelings of grief and loss, to be patient and present with wherever you are in the phase of creating new things or surrendering them out into the world, to include and make room for the tenderest parts of ourselves that feel their way through things. Often, right, we want to rationalize and step outside and map things out and understand them. And there is a part of us that never participates in that understanding, that never participates in that intellectualization, that is never going to map out an emotional experience into a cerebral one, but is going to know the truth of how it felt, regardless of the explanation. And right, that part of us has its own kind of innocence and purity in a Cancerian sense. And it's feeling the full weight of what we put ourselves through in these fearful spaces. The deeper that I get into my astrology practice and working with clients, the more I try to caution the kind of overactivity of like seeing a transit or seeing something and then consciously doing something about it, right? Obviously, I think there's a place for that, for taking responsibility and changing the way things are going. But I also feel like to slip into the lunar consciousness is to respond to what's actually there, right? It's a kind of active receptivity where we are staying active in the principle of ourselves, but we are also responding to what is around us. So I think on this full moon, right, it's the reception of holding space for how much is in your life, how much you're trying to do, how much you are feeling, and just being patient and present with it. And not trying to hero it, just trying to witness. I'm going to pull up the chart for us to take a look at for a minute so you can kind of see what we're talking about. We have the sun over here in Capricorn, just separating from this conjunction with Pluto. We have the moon at 27, almost 28 degrees of Cancer, opposite it. That's really the most significant aspect that the luminaries are making. Yeah. So, I mean, the sun conjunction with Pluto, the moon's opposition with it is really the kind of key place of this. We're about almost 2 weeks off from Venus's station. We're a few weeks off from Mercury's station. So it's really about being patient and letting the transits themselves hold you and not pushing the river. And that is what I have for you guys today for the Cancer full moon. If this breakdown was helpful, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more astrology. Happy full moon. Stay tender.